For Singles Awareness Day today, I decided what better way to celebrate than by sharing my obsession with fictional couples, since I love seeing relationships develop to compensate for my chances of getting a girlfriend being non-existent. For this list, I'll be sharing my top 20 ships or romances in drawn fiction, canon or not. My rules are no live-action works, and the couple can't start the story as an official couple. But why 20? Because I love a lot of different ships and wanted to talk about as many as I could. So let's begin.
There is no cure.
When it comes to Western cartoons, most romances are bare bones if they exist at all due to how episodic in nature our shows are. Usually you'll see a love bloom in more plot-driven shows like Owl House or Star Vs, but since executives care more about syndication and playing reruns in whatever order, we often get characters with crushes towards another character that never really develops into much more. And out of all the Western cartoon crushes I've seen, Heloise's one-sided crush towards Jimmy Two Shoes is my favorite. Jimmy is a happy-go-lucky doofus living in Miseryville with his best friends Lord of the Fries Beelzebub and evil mad scientist girl Heloise. Because he's oblivious and it's a kid's show, he has no idea Heloise is in love with him, and that will never change. Except the time he ironically fell in love with the robot version of her that she built. Regardless, I love seeing little moments of Heloise's love for Jimmy, including the many times she gets really jealous over Jimmy getting close to another person. She's so madly in love, she'll do anything to be with him. Her Angelica-coded love shrine is proof of that. So yeah, I totally ship this goofy goober and crazy gremlin she-devil.
No need to worry.
Ash has had a multitude of traveling companions on his Pokemon journey, and all of them have been shipped with him by fans. Most people who aren't me really like Ash and Misty, and I admit I really liked the relationship and kiss between Ash and Serena, but I'm sorry Amore shippers, it's Ash and Dawn who I think are the best match. Ash and Dawn are very similar in personality and drive, determined, passionate trainers trying to achieve their dreams in Sinnoh. They're super supportive of each other's dreams as well, with Dawn going as far as to wear a cheer outfit during Ash's gym battles, and Ash being visibly upset when Dawn loses a contest. But there's also a plethora of moments where they show genuine concern for each other, each going out of their way to try cheering up the other, with the most impactful moment for me being the time Dawn challenged Depresso Expresso gym leader Maylene so she'd have a real battle with Ash afterwards. I just feel like they're so perfect for each other. Even if they bicker from time to time, they always root for each other and seal their bond with their iconic high five.
And tinfoil hat time, I think the anime writers really like Dawn since it feels like she comes back to the show way more often than any other female character outside of Misty.
Anyways, moving on. 3 years ago, I made a video ranking every Zelda and Link ship in the Zelda series based on how canon I thought they would be. But when it comes to my favorite Zelda series ship, it's gotta be Daphne the Link from The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Manga Edition. Viz Media made several manga adaptations of the games that took creative liberties to retell the game stories and flesh out the characters, and while Ocarina of Time Kiss is funny, and lots of people really love what they did with Midna and Twilight Princess, I've always had a soft spot for Link to the Past since it's my favorite game in the series. But more than that, I really love the interactions Link and Zelda have in this manga. Some of my favorites being the beautifully drawn hug that stops Link's transformation, and how distraught Link is when Agnem successfully sacrifices Zelda right in front of him. Or there's the ending where, quote, he was at her side for the rest of their lives, implying to me that he was more than just her knight. But the best evidence for Link's devotion to Zelda comes from the perspective of Bandit and Zelda OC character Gonti. Quote, if Link goes to Turtle Rock, he'll be with Princess Zelda. I couldn't stand to see that. I know you're always thinking about her. There's no way a bandit like me can compare to a princess like her. Gonti gets saved from being a monster and helps Link and Zelda at the end, and is still friends with Link, but her unrequited love stems from Link's love of Zelda. Definitely check out this and all the other Zelda manga. The Four Swords one in particular is fantastic.
After every breath you take, an apology follows.
Cinderella stories are a dime a dozen, but for my money, My Happy Marriage is one of the best. It uses its empathetic hook to draw you into the story of an abused daughter being married off to the cold-hearted Lord Kudo, who's already had several fiancés leave him. And to add insult to injury, Mio's evil stepsister is betrothed to the one guy who was ever kind to her. But after living with Lord Kudo and seeing how kind, patient, and willing to have her around he is, she finally starts to feel joy. Even after he finds out she doesn't have superpowers and was abused by her family, Lord Kudo is so smitten with her that he doubles down on the engagement. But the best part of the love story has to be episode 6, when cathartic justice is finally served towards Mio's entire evil family, who've kidnapped and abused her even more, forcing Kudo to save her and burn down the House of Trauma due to her father's hubris. The rest of the show changes the focus to be more about the power system and Mio's bloodline, but we do get to see how protective and loving Kudo is over Mio, as well as my favorite scene in the entire show.
I'm going to have to believe in myself the way he believes in me, because I want to stay with Lord Kudo for the rest of my life.
This scene was so powerful, specifically the English version, which was performed with such visceral emotion that no other dub even came close to replicating the feeling. I was just so glad she finally found the loving partner she so rightfully deserves, and how willing to fight for him she is.
Is that all?
Yes!
Crack ships are so funny, pairing two characters from completely separate series together just because, but my favorite one, though not really that cracked, is Samus and Captain Falcon from Metroid and F-Zero respectively. Snake might have the hots for Samus, but Captain Falcon feels like the better choice since he and Samus are both hyper-attractive space-trotting bounty hunters. I would love to see the two of them hunt a bounty together and go from rivals to lovers who learn to respect each other's skills and fall in love, kinda like a Batman-Catwoman kind of situation, only bounty hunters. There's so much potential there and I love seeing what fan artists do with it. For instance, one old webcomic called Brawl in the Family that perfectly captured my vision, with an entire multi-part comic about Samus and Falcon going on a date. They talk shop and do a double Falcon punch on an interrupting Snake, with the date ending and Falcon getting a kiss. Let's go, my man. Definitely a fantastic Nintendo ship I'm always rooting for.
Your darling baby puppy Bunkerboo.
One of my favorite pieces of Western animation is An American Tail: Fievel Goes West. I know the original American Tail is the objectively better movie, but subjectively speaking I like this one more for being a fun time. I bring it up now because the subplot between Tiger and Miss Kitty is quite romantic. The entire love story revolves around Tiger overcoming his scaredy cat persona and becoming a
Cat who's more like a dog.
And after a series of unfortunate slapstick, god impersonation, and the greatest training montage I've ever seen, she gets that wish, but not before sharing her regrets over leaving him in the first place. The climactic ending fight scene really brings this to a head when Tiger sees Miss Kitty in danger and immediately proves he's got that dog in him, going ballistic and defeating every cat single-podedly to save his darling baby puppy Bungaboo. Mind you, Tiger only agreed to leave the pampered life and help Fievel, his literal best friend, because he learned Miss Kitty was there. Of course the boy would go full orange cat and murder anyone in the way of his true love, and he gets rewarded with kisses like the true hero he is.
Why is it so difficult to share one's feelings with somebody else?
Imagine it's 2020. You just started playing a cool, stylish indie game about Greek gods called Hades, where you play as Zagreus and try to escape the underworld. Then imagine my surprise when I find out I can give nectar to people, and in some cases start romantically wooing them. So of course, I immediately started romancing Dusa. Why? Because she is the funniest choice between her, the hot Fury sister Megara, and the pretty boy Thanatos. But more than that, Dusa is a great character who's extremely kind, albeit shy, towards Zagreus, even reacting just from him approaching. It's so cute. I also appreciate her keepsake healing me since I'm so doo-doo butt cheeks at this game. But it's a real shame that after all 10 ambrosia, the most for any character needing to receive, she has a heart-to-heart with Zagreus and friend-zones him! I was heartbroken. I thought Dusa and Zagreus would be such a funny but loving couple, especially after Zagreus went out of his way to get her job back when Nyx rudely fired her. I don't care if it's not canon or what the writers wanted. In my heart, it's Zagreus and Dusa forever.
She's definitely a girl!
Most isekai anime aren't well known for their fleshed out and loving relationships, but that didn't stop Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun from having a sweetly sincere romance between Iruma and Amari. Their relationship may have started in a typical rom-com style, but over time it becomes clear how much they really care about and love each other, with Amari actually saying she loves him in her mind after her ordeal becoming a meeker version of herself. Amari may seem to wear her heart on her sleeve from our perspective, but I love that she isn't some one-note love interest. She continues to be her own real character, diligent in her duties and devoted to her ambitions, all while telling Iruma she's waiting for him to stand by her side. Meanwhile, Iruma might not be as openly in love with Amari, he does have Asmodeus and Clara for that after all, but that doesn't stop him from enjoying all the times reading manga with her, inviting her to the theme park with all his friends, or afterwards doing the shonen protagonist unthinkable and sincerely asking the love interest on a real date. Amari and Iruma are even able to have a mostly great time too, before ending with his princess carrying Amari and saying he's glad he practiced this, which to my romance-pilled headcanon means he was fully prepared to carry her beforehand. It's adorable! I even read some of the manga for this show where later Amari goes to a high society ball and Iruma swoops in to dance with her all romantically. It's a wonderful scene ending in a hug and Iruma positively Twitter-pated, like any boy being hugged by someone they like. Iruma's gonna be the Demon King, Amari will be his Demon Queen, and I cannot wait to see it.
Beautiful lady, will you be my wife?
Back in the day when my anime journey first began with Toonami as a teen, I was blessed to see Yu Yu Hakusho and immediately fell in love with the action and comedy. But on top of being one of the greatest shonen anime ever created, it's crazy how crucial the beautiful love story between Yusuke and Keiko is to the entire plot. After Yusuke dies, it's not until seeing firsthand how devastated Keiko is over his death that he gets the resolve to come back. Then he willingly sacrifices his supposedly one chance at revival to save her, when ironically she runs into his burning house to save him, because as he says, without her there is no point in coming back. And most importantly, it's Keiko's kiss that revives him at all. But even as the show progresses, there are several other cute moments between the two, with Keiko being a huge source of growth and peace for Yusuke. Or divine retribution with that omega slap of hers. Girl can really hold her own against a demon killing machine. It all culminates in the emotional ending where she screams her heart out, giving up on Yusuke after 3 years of waiting, just for him to show up and get tackled by Keiko, who kisses him.
Bingo.
It's like Botan says, I could cry. And I actually did when this first aired. Both at the start and at the end of the show, it's Keiko's kiss that welcomes Yusuke back to Earth. Masterpiece anime. Ooh, Phoenix Wright fans are gonna hate me for this, but Phoenix belongs with Iris. Maya's alright, but they establish early on that theirs is a friendship, not a lover's relationship, despite what Pearly thinks. And to the people who ship Phoenix and Edgeworth, hey, more power to ya. But the love for Iris and Phoenix is extremely cute, and partially why Bridge to the Turnabout from Trials and Tribulations is my favorite case in the entire Ace Attorney series. The fact that Iris was ready and willing to stop Demon Queen Dahlia from harming her Feeny reeks of loving devotion. This is a woman willing to kill or be killed for her man. She even makes an adorable sweater for her boyfriend because she loves him so much. I love it. And I truly think Phoenix still has strong feelings for Iris, considering how he still always believed in Dahlia after everything she did to him. It made my heart so happy when he finally told Iris she really was the woman he always believed in and loved. I want them to be together so badly, hence why it really sucks that she's still never come back. I know she assisted in murder, but come on, Judge, give her some slack. She didn't actually kill the person. I pray Capcom lets her free and Trucy gets a sweet new mom in the future. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you made a rom-com about a person with so much social anxiety they can't even talk? Well, Komi Can't Communicate shows exactly that, with the relationship between the anxiety-filled Komi, who's worshipped by everyone, and the literal most average person imaginable, Tadano. All it took was Tadano being knocked out by Komi cultists and showing kindness towards Komi afterwards for the relationship to start rolling. Unfortunately, it's hindered by Komi's fearful inability to speak and Tadano's incessant inferiority complex, doubting Komi would ever want anything to do with him romantically. But honestly, those make this slow burn of a love story more relatable somehow. I usually hate how long romances in the anime take to be established. I am an impatient romantic at heart after all. But of course, a timid girl who struggles to even speak, let alone make friends, would take 305 chapters to actually get together with the self-doubting Tadano. Regardless, Tadano shows a deep understanding of how Komi feels and thinks, with him acting as her interpreter, supporter, and best friend. Komi even prevents Najimi from putting their phone number in her new phone first, because that's reserved for Komi's special man. There are several other tropes this show goes through, and all of them are adorable, except for Toxic Waste. She's the worst. But even she doesn't stop my heart melting seeing how happy and devoted to each other this awkward couple is.
Kissing would be nice, yes?
I went through every Disney princess movie that are known for having bland princes and marrying strangers, but out of all of them, my favorite royal couple has to be Tiana and Naveen from Princess and the Frog. While these two only spend a day or two together like some of the other Disney couples, I love the way Tiana and Naveen influence each other into becoming better people through the shared trauma bonding of becoming frogs. Naveen starts out as a prideful, womanizing, spoiled brat who doesn't take anything seriously and only cares about gratifying his whims. Meanwhile, Tiana is a poor, blue-collar black woman who can't afford wasting time for anything else due to her single-minded struggle to achieve her dream restaurant. They're polar opposites forced by Waluigi the Voodoo Man to adapt to a supernatural situation, leading to vulnerability and character growth. Naveen is forced to work for the first time and help out, triggering self-reflection in himself and how pathetic he really is, while Tiana is forced to deviate from her one-track mind and learn to find joy in the little things like dancing and having fun. But by far my favorite scene of these two is the dinner scene on the riverboat when Naveen uses his mincing skill that Tiana taught him in order to impress her. And despite the dinner not going as he planned, Tiana continues to have a good time seeing Naveen's charming schmoozy facade fade because he's being much more of a real person. Then after seeing how important the restaurant dream is to Tiana, Naveen seeks out best gal pal and amazing support character Charlotte to sacrifice his own happily ever after for Tiana's, only for Tiana to do the unthinkable and give up her lifelong dream because she's finally found the same joy that her father always cherished, true love. It's such a heartwarming moment made better by Charlotte willingly trying to break the curse anyways, no marriage required because she's the best Disney supporting character ever made. And even when the two are at peace with living as frogs after the curse doesn't break, they're still blessed with the curse being broken and Tiana being able to live her dream with the now reliable Naveen supporting her all the way. He even helps rebuild the building despite being a prince who never did anything before. Tiana truly changed this man. I love it. Best Disney prince ever.
Do you think she's going out with the prince?
Out of all the ships on this list, none are as physically intimate as Shiryuki and Prince Zen from Snow White with the red hair. Well, maybe one entry is, but I mean from what we physically see animated. These two are either holding hands, embracing, or doing some form of touching practically every other episode. Even if Zen is a prince and Shiryuki is a commoner, making the relationship somewhat forbidden and downright uncomfortable for his elder brother and members of nobility. But not this guard who's fully on board, my man. But these two really don't care about status and the opinions of others because their friendship and love is more important. Zen is so in love that he's always thinking of her, going out of his way to protect and save her from any danger, and even shows his jealous side whenever she's getting too much attention.
Look at him acting like a prince.
Boy is very possessive of his strong-willed redhead. Speaking of which, Shiryuki's great chemistry with Zen and desire to spend time with him leads her to get a job at the castle as an herbalist to justify them spending time together. She may have been shocked and embarrassed when Zen first kissed her, but when she later confesses her feelings and kisses him back, it's such a beautiful payoff to their building feelings. They're just a great example of a cute couple with fantastic witty chemistry who love each other for their true selves, something that's really important to Zen. If you've ever heard of the RPG game series Popolo Croix,
you're lying.
I played Hobosai Cringe several years ago on PSP because my family randomly bought it for a trip, and I adored the love story between Prince Pietro and Forest Witch Narcia. They start off as traveling companions, but it quickly spirals into deep love as they journey across the world to fight an ice demon and literal gods. The game is full of sweet, silly, heart-wrenching, and emotionally charged scenes between the two, the circus date in particular being magnificent, ending with Pietro giving Narcia a pendant and Narcia giving Pietro a kiss. Bro is absolutely flabbergasted. It's hilarious. But then there's the saddest scene in the game where Narcia, being a forest witch who can't touch seawater or she'll turn into air bubbles and die, touches seawater to turn into air bubbles and die for Pietro to live.
I love you.
This is my favorite cutscene in the game because the way Narcia says I love you feels so impactful after how far they've come and how hard Pietro tries to keep her alive. Not to mention how reluctant games are in general to have characters actually say the phrase I love you to their romantic interests. But don't worry, Pietro's wish brings her back to life. What's truly sad is the old established rule that forest witches can't marry humans, with Narcia even going so far as to attempt becoming human through the help of the Fairy Queen. It ultimately fails, but shout out to Leona and White Knight for reading the room and getting these two some alone time. It's a good thing we find out Narcia is actually a fairy, so the rule doesn't apply at all. Still a different species, but hey, that didn't stop Pietro's dad from marrying a dragon. The PSP game ends spectacularly, with Pietro proposing to Narcia at the behest of another fairy, tired of watching them beat around the bush, just like I was. It's a nice way to end the story after seeing how far their relationship has progressed, really solidifying how charming Popolo Croix is. Sorry Gamigami, you never stood a chance. I just wish more people actually knew what I was talking about.
Come on!
I've shared a couple cute relationships so far, but when it comes to funny relationships, Kaguya Love is War has one of the best. An epic battle of wits between two overly prideful people madly in love with each other, but unwilling to lose the war of love by confessing first. So they come up with ridiculous scenarios playing 4D chess trying to get each other to admit it, all while their fellow student council members tend to get in the way. Looking at you, Fujiwara. It's such a silly premise, but done in such a masterful way that I just can't help but laugh at the insane lengths Kaguya goes to set up Miyuki Miyuki to confess, just to be countered by Miyuki's logic and intellect deflecting every scheme she makes. And then they show us their mental states afterwards with them going full neurodivergent, overanalyzing and beating themselves up over every little thing they perceived as going wrong. Very relatable. This just proves the greatest character, the English narrator, is the most base character in saying the level-headed Hayasaka is best girl. And yet, despite the mind games, there's still so many adorable little scenes and romantic gestures that remind you of how much they actually love each other and want to be together. Even after they kiss finally, I love that in the last few episodes, Kaguya reverts to her Ice Queen mode, wanting to see if Miyuki loves the real her. And he absolutely does, since that's the version he originally fell for. It really wrapped up the show well and felt like both of them finally got the success in the war called love that they desired.
Thanks for the heart beam.
This next couple does not deserve to be on this list, let alone this high. Their relationship gets barely any development or depth, with her only appearing in 12 of the 52 episodes, usually as the damsel in distress. Heck, they're even the beta couple of the show compared to Sparks and Nova. So why is it here? Because when it comes to animated couples, Jinmei and Shiro from Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go are always the first couple I think of due to having my favorite kiss scene in animated history. Their relationship is established in the first episode, after which Jinmei makes sparse appearances until the end of Season 2 and the start of Season 4, which is where we get the episode in question. The Hyperforce comes back from killing Mark Hamill's Mega Tapeworm and a bit of infidelity when Chiro, voiced by Beast Boy, finds Jinmei, voiced by Terra, overwhelmed with a crisis on Shugazoom started by a witch named Valina, voiced by Starfire. Gee, I wonder why there are so many familiar voice actors. Anyways, after the crisis ends, complete with some Deus Ex Loving-ya, we get this.
Jinmei? Shiro!
This image has been burned into my mind with how joyful and glorious it is. The long journey is over, peace is restored, and Jinmei, so full of love and relief, tackles her man with a giant kiss while he reciprocates. It's so beautiful. Since my teenage years, no other kiss has resonated with me as much as this one. Unfortunately, there aren't a whole lot of other notable moments between the two after this, except when Jinmei gets brainwashed into liking a biker dude.
Looks like you lost your girl to a big stinky green guy. Some dude's program Chiro's girl. That's too bad.
This show was so weird in the best way possible. Shame it ended on a freaking cliffhanger! But still, these two are a huge staple to me when it comes to animated characters in love.
What could two high school kids possibly get up to while they're off on their own?
The greatest thing about Horimiya is it establishes Hori and Miyamura as dating super early on. Miyamura confesses by episode 4 and they become official in the next. There's hardly any beating around the bush in this show, especially since another refreshing point is not relying on the anime trope of miscommunication or the couple being too afraid to share their feelings. Literally in the first episode, they have a heart-to-heart about their relationship and Hori practically forces Miyamura to keep hanging out with her, regardless of their mutual friend having a crush on her and asking her out. Then later, when there is some miscommunication, it's resolved almost instantly, after some angry slapstick and a lot of regret on Hori's part, of course. She might be aggressive and forceful towards the shy emo and sometimes angry Miyamura, but she also can't stand being apart from him or the idea of sharing him. And Miyamura is the same. He wants to keep Hori's real self hidden and reserved just for him. He's even willing to do anything for Hori, including headbutting the class president to defend her honor, or watching horror movies with her despite hating them since they terrify him. Miyamura even tries being a bad boy since Hori's into that. Because of how quickly their relationship is established, it's given enough room to flourish and grow into true love. Unlike most anime couples, these two feel so much more real and honest. When Hori starts feeling self-conscious about not being cute enough and worries that Miyamura is going to leave her for some reason, Miyamura immediately realizes something is off and they tackle it head on. Hori's open about how she feels and Miyamura reassures her that he fell in love with the real her, and she doesn't have to worry about putting up a cutesy facade for him to stay. And on top of all this, the show even leads to them becoming sexually active with each other, something most similar shows would never even think of tackling, yet again proving how close they are and how realistic it feels. So overall, the cute moments, the chemistry, the sacrifices, and best of all, the honesty and realness between the two really makes the relationship progression feel so amazing and makes this romance the best romance I've ever seen in anime.
So, you ignorant slut!
I've played a few video games in my life, some even with prominent romances I enjoy, but I would be remiss to recount my favorite romances without mentioning one of the greatest love stories in all of gaming. The Tragedy of Blumiere and Timpani from Super Paper Mario. This is a weirdly fun game that I have a few gripes with. I literally made a whole video about how much I hate Chapter 5. Go watch that, it's me at my most unhinged. But every critic of this game agrees that the story is one of the best stories in any Mario game ever. A Romeo and Juliet forbidden love story between a human woman and a dark count, glimpsed between chapters, where the grief of losing his loved one sends Count Bleck into a depression, resulting in him having the motive not to take over the world like some lame turtle might do, but to destroy every world imaginable and send them all to the void, symbolic of what happened to his heart when Timpani was lost to him. Yet marooned between dimensions and barely clinging to life, Timpani is saved and transformed into the pixel Teepee, who helps Mario stop Count Bleck's nihilistic agenda, slowly regaining her memories and love towards Blumiere along the way. As the climax draws near with Count Bleck's defeat and the betrayal of Dimentio, all the pain, drama, and destruction of the game comes to a close when Count Bleck and Teepee confess their eternal love towards each other and finally put a stop to the Chaos Heart. My tears were rolling at this point. The music, the confessions, the atmosphere, just remembering that scene puts a lump in my throat for being such an emotionally pulchritudinous scene. And best of all, we get to see that they do get their happily ever after, together at last. I can't, I need a moment.
I lied.
Liar.
Count Bleck and Teepee might have one of the best love stories in gaming, but my personal favorite love story in gaming has to go to the one I get to choose every time, and that's Colette Brunel and Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia. There are several relationships in this game players can attempt to flesh out between characters, but I can never not push the Lloyd and Colette agenda. I literally feel guilty pairing Lloyd up with any of the other girls because the entire story progresses thanks to the connection between them. Lloyd's presence alone brings Colette peace and comfort and gives her the strength to sacrifice herself for the world. Meanwhile, Lloyd is willing to do anything to protect and save her, with his birthday present to her being the one thing that saves her soul. I love them so much, I could never betray the ship. But even outside the main plot, there are plenty of cutscenes and skits in the game that influence affinity between characters, and I always make sure to choose the Lloyd-Colette route due to how happy these two make me. Just look at how cute they are! Honestly, all their interactions are so heartwarming that I can't help but want to see them live happily ever after. What compels this choice further is a scene from the underwhelming sequel, Dawn of the New World, where choosing Colette is the only way you'll ever hear Lloyd say the words "I love you" to any of his friends. And as I said earlier, those 3 words hold a lot of weight in my eyes. Sorry Sheena, but Lloyd and Colette are my one true pairing in gaming history, and it's exactly why I keep them on my keychain at all times.
Stop talking.
July 19th, 2003. A cartoon was released in the West mixing comic books, Western animation, and a dash of anime influence. It was about 5 superheroes who fought bad guys and over the last slice of pizza, and it was called Teen Titans. One of the greatest cartoons ever released, cram-packed with action, comedy, drama, and a romance that's had a chokehold on me since I was a teen. Robin and Starfire are my favorite animated couple because of how obsessed I am with their relationship. My favorite thing about any form of fictional media is seeing the little romantic moments and hints sprinkled between the stories. And Teen Titans has my absolute favorites. Starfire being depressed when Robin was away, Robin's extreme jealousy when Starfire was betrothed to Glurdoskletch, the hugs they exchange in the end, followed by Starfire's rage towards her evil doppelganger when she teases her about him. Even little moments like Robin's face after saving Star when she's in a cocoon, or how immediately serious he gets when he finds out Valyor was calling Star a slur. All of these are fantastic. And then there's my favorite relationship-heavy episode in all of animation, Stranded, where Robin and Starfire have to work through the drama of their relationship while Starfire is too emotionally confused to use her powers, leaving them very vulnerable and in danger constantly. This entire episode is literally my favorite episode of the show because of the drama. I remember recording it on VHS back in the day so I could watch it over and over again. I live for this stuff. Starfire reading him for filth when explaining exactly what a girlfriend is probably my favorite part that I watch the most.
A female with whom you have a pleasant and special association, including the sharing of enjoyable recreation and occasionally the buying of bountiful floral arrangements.
But this episode is also why there is no creature or villain in fiction that I hate more than the screaming beast that refuses to die and interrupts Robin and Star when they are finally sharing their most vulnerable feelings for each other.
You do not mind having a friend who is a girl?
Minded? I kind of...
I cannot tell you how many times I've wished Robin could finish that sentence. And yet it's still satisfying how Robin's words helped Starfire regain her confidence to fly them out of danger. Man, this show was just a wonderful time. Even outside the relationship stuff, it's a cool show that should have been given a final season. But at least we got a conclusion to Robin and Starfire's relationship in the movie, with more drama, more emotional buildup between the two, and ending with a perfectly beautiful kiss scene that felt so rewarding after all this time. Seeing them holding hands on that stage was just chef's kiss. I will forever hold Robin and Starfire's relationship dear to my heart for being an irreplaceable part of why I love this show and animated relationships in general so much.
Starfire and Robin forever.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Man, this was a super long video that's been about 3 years in the making. Sorry it took so long, but I'm glad I got to gush about my favorite fictional ships. Thanks for sticking around to see all my justifiably weird choices, and for not getting too annoyed by my lack of interesting vernacular. Anyways, have a beautiful Valentine's Day, treat your loved ones well, and look forward to my next video that won't be nearly as long as this one. Bye bye!